Just a few short announcements before we jump into our regular sit and meditation. By the way, that is every Sunday, 4:30 p.m. to 6 p.m. You can always join us online. And right now, the third Sunday of the month, you'll always see the next one on the weekly email is in person and online. We call that our hybrid meeting. We also have Jokai who will be leading Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. on Zoom. Wednesday is our peer-led Just Sit silent meditation that meets on Zoom, 5:30 p.m. to 6:15 p.m. And Friday we have our loving kindness, our meta group with Ian Chalice, 4:30 p.m. to 5:15 p.m. on Zoom. We also are doing a introductory beginners meditation class on the first Saturday of every month. The next one is going to be on December 3rd with Mary Stankiewicz. That is at 10 a.m. And until 10:45. It's a 45-minute class. And it is a suggested donation of $20 for the introductory rate. That's for beginners, new beginners, and longtime beginners if you want a refresher. We're also going to be doing a retreat. That's going to be over in Joshua Tree at the Medina Meditation Center. That's February 17th to 20th. That is for the ICD community. It's going to have Arena Wiseman, Ian Chalice, and Fresh Lev White. Once again, that's February 17th to the 20th. It's a residential overnight in beautiful Joshua Tree. It gets a little chilly up there in February, so if you plan to go, make sure to be ready for weather that you might not expect if you're a desert person. With that, I will leave you to Jokai.
Thank you, Adrian. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Good to see you. Thank you for being here, for choosing to invest some time of this fine Sunday evening into our shared practice, our practice of meditation and inquiry into Dharma practice. We've been on this journey of exploring the Eightfold Path, a pivotal teaching of the historical Buddha, Shakyamuni Buddha. Just as I get just setting up here, and I notice over my right shoulder, left shoulder, I guess left shoulder, the Buddha, you might seem like kind of just sitting on the Buddha sitting on the windowsill there. I've grown very fond of having a Buddha image kind of on the shoulder, right? Sometimes you have that kind of angel devil image, but I just go with one Buddha on the shoulder just to keep an eye on things, and someone who can take over if necessary. Right. The real key teaching, of course, of the Buddha is found in the image of the Buddha sitting in meditation with that. You might see a gentle smile traditionally is carved on the way that the Buddha is depicted. If you have a Buddha image at home, or of course familiar with one, that half smile comes from what is called self-fulfilling samadhi in the Zen school. Self-fulfilling samadhi. Samadhi is another word for concentration, right? Of the power of presence, the palpable power of presence awareness that can be realized through concentration practice. It's a beautiful aspect that the mark of that concentrated practice can settle as a soft smile on our faces. So before we get into the looking at the teachings of wise concentration, let's begin, as we always do, with our fundamental practice, the practice of still sitting. If we haven't done so already, we can begin to compose our bodies for our 30-minute sit. We'll have our 30-minute sit to begin. Although we might be in different places, in different spaces, perhaps even in different time zones, right? It matters not, in the sense of we have built this beautiful virtual meditation hall that somehow comes together in time and space to give us each a shared connection to to mutual support. It's good to check in and acknowledge that fact, that to have a community where we can be supported, where we can sit together in the quite radical art of being quiet and still for a period of time. Surprisingly uncommon, and yet it's such a rich and powerful practice. Presence and steadiness. Although we might sit alone on our own schedule and meditate, having the support and the camaraderie of like-intentioned, accepting individuals coming together as a group, there's just so much power in that. That is the power of sangha. Sangha and community is appreciated as one of the indivisible three jewels of Buddhism: Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Not less than the Buddha or Dharma, not more than, but an indivisible aspect. A group of people with kind intentionality coming together in mutual support for the benefit of all. As simple, but also as profound, rare, and beautiful as that. As we sit for this 30 minutes, that we're sitting, one mind, many bodies, sitting together. I'll leave it to you to find your posture. And now to bring our awareness into the body, make that shift into the physical, helping to ground, find our seat. At the beginning here, let's have that firm intention. 30 minutes. For this 30 minutes, I'm going to sit all of the way down, not half of the way down, but to sit all of the way down, with earth below and the sky above as our witness, just as it was for the Buddha 2,500 years ago. Not different. Same human life, same ingredients. We can bring, as we settle in and find our physical body, let's bring then attention to breath awareness, to our breathing, some longer breaths here to help settle in, bring oxygen in, enrich the blood. Breathing in deeply through the nose, helping to straighten without forcing. It's important. Crown of the head reaching for the sky. Breathing fully in, shoulders rolling back, and then with that long, deep exhalation, letting everything go without collapsing in the body. The body becomes a scaffold on which the mind can sit safely. The body's strong in the posture. The mind feels easier about loosening the grip, and can also begin to really to sit and to become still. Let's follow this breathing a few more rounds, deeper breathing. I'll strike the bell here to take us into silence. For this period of time, please let's set thinking aside. Excuse me. Breath is here as an anchor for presence if we're wandering in the mind, but also let's be in contact with sight and feeling, sound and silence, direct experience of awareness just as we are. Nothing to attain, nowhere to go, just this. Let's do our best. And also let's enjoy this. Let's be gentle in our movement. So we take just a couple of minutes here to perhaps to stand and stretch or retrieve a glass of water. And I'll strike the bell again in just 2 minutes and we'll continue. Thank you again for coming to practice this evening. Really, 30 minutes is I think just right about amount of time. Certainly about as much as my legs can handle these days. In fact, I have to move around a little bit too, just in 30 minutes, but that's okay. We can be on the ground, we can be cross-legged, we can be in a chair, we can be supported in bed, we can be on the couch. Always a posture for meditation, so long as the body is steady, it's kind of steady in its support. And then in that time, gosh, isn't there but a palpable sense of settling, right, where things can really settle, and there's a shift in the felt energy of the room. Perhaps we notice that just as the mind becomes still, and it's a curious thing for me that often I'll notice that I have little to say right after, which is unfortunate in my career choice to have not much to say after a period of sitting. But what is there really to add to this once we align closely as this? Then we really see. We come to see the truth of the realized truth of just so, just this. Everything as it is. Everything internally and externally. But of course, as human beings, um, this still awareness, this alignment with present awareness doesn't typically fall into our laps. It's something that needs to be practiced and realized. There's a reason that we still see the Buddha carved into wood and stone and different figures a couple of thousand years later. Although sometimes I feel like he would have been horrified to know to know that perhaps. I think anybody really wants to uh, uh, become a statue, but and those who do, we should be careful of those who wish to be appear as statues for thousands of years hence. Right? But there was something remarkable in what the Buddha realized, and more importantly, was able to articulate into a path that human beings of varying capacity, different history, different sum total of karma, that anyone, all included, no one left out, everybody could follow the path, the Eightfold Path. The Eightfold Path, of course, emerging out of the Four Noble Truths. The first, the pivotal teaching that the Buddha put into a system upon his great realization, upon seeing the morning star at dawn in northern India all those many years, more 2,600 years ago. The power of that realization and that enlightenment resonates now, is real now. Same life. We have much more in common with the people of the Buddha's time than we do different. We live and die. We have the same ingredients of emotion and feeling. Of course, we have different ingredients in terms of this curious contemporary age that we're living in, right? But for the most part, same human life. The Buddha saw the truth of the basic unsatisfactoriness of that is inherent in the human condition, in the human experience. So I'm very curious about being a human being, right? In that we have uh, this dualistic way of experiencing consciousness, that we see things out there, we have perceived externals, we look into the world of changing forms, and we're able to see and experience the truth of impermanence, including this very body. Perhaps humans are unique in the animal kingdom, perhaps not. Who knows? But in the human condition, with this biological and evolutionary imperative that is driving us, there's always some dissatisfaction or unsatisfactoriness that's at work. You may have noticed it today, right? It's like every day brings something that might be a little off, right? It can be just a small, almost trivial or petty frustration or difficulty. But as human beings, we have a pretty much a constant stream of challenge or problems and things and the many things to take care of. If you're anything like me, there's quite a list that's going on most of the time. And we may for a time feel like we've gotten on top of the list and everything's squared away. And as soon as that occurs, well, life just tends to give us a further helping. It's like, oh, you're all done? Well, have some more, right? So as a human being, we have that sense of always there's something a little off and something that needs to be worked on, you could say. So the Buddha created the Eightfold Path as medicine for the human condition, and we've been exploring that over these past 7 Sundays, I guess. Now, the first one for myself as a student of Zen Buddhism is the most important one, which is right view or wise view, or seeing things as they are. I think that comes first for a reason. That really is the insight of wisdom. In fact, it's said, right, that the first 3 steps on the path, uh, right resolve, or the first 2, yeah, are involved in the development of wisdom. So this seeing things as they are, seeing clearly, looking at life as it is, as much as possible, as closely as possible, because we're always having a complete ex- a completely a complete experience of the incomplete. Right? Now, what do I mean by that? We're always we see things as they are, but we don't see the whole thing. We don't see all of reality all at once. When we look at one thing, we're not looking at another thing. As we raise something up, something else falls into shadow. That experience is a complete experience of right view, but we only see as far as our eye reaches. Now, with this right view, there is the realm there of knowledge. We see things as we are. We can apply knowledge, intellectual knowledge to that, but there is also the right view of seeing things as they are based on our experience. Sometimes we can listen to someone and we learn more from what is not said than what is said. Right? There is information that's coming in from all angles all of the time, and present awareness is the key to right view. As human beings, we carry this curious identity of me, the one with the name, the story, and the attached history. Right? Now that sense of me always has a slightly distorted, or in some cases a grossly distorted view of life, because it's being, whatever is coming in is being bent through the prism of me. And me is very much involved in the human condition. Me is involved in like and dislike, attachment and aversion. Buddha was clear in his teaching on talking about attachment and aversion, and as human beings, we're always somewhere on that in that spectrum of attachment and aversion, moving toward and wanting to keep and have more of the things we like, and moving away from and wanting to repel those things that we don't want to include. But life seems to doesn't run to our criteria of attachment and aversion. So that me self that's involved in attachment and aversion can be experienced very directly and very practically every time that we sit in meditation. And we may not. Often I don't want to sit meditation, or I may not be enjoying meditation. I may prefer to be doing other things than meditation. The I, me self has all kinds of choices about things. But that really ultimately doesn't have anything to do with the practice of stillness and the practice of meditation and the practice of being thus. Right? To align with right view from the standpoint of meditation, it requires the allowing of everything that is here, everything that we're in direct experience with, to be as it is, and we let go of the picking and choosing. And we give no value to what's perceived internally or externally. In fact, we let go of the difference between what's internal and what's external. Often for us, for human beings again, our thoughts are the most cherished phenomena. Whereas other phenomena, things that we might be hearing or seeing, seem less important in meditation. But if we can bring or let go of the bias of how we frame our attention then when we're sitting, then we can closely align with this right view. So if I skip now from right view and all the way across to the eighth one, and got a right concentration. Right? Because in order to align closely with right view, it helps to, it's essential to learn and practice the art of concentration in meditation. And meditation is the foundational practice of the Buddhist school. It's very important in the Zen school. In Master Dogen, the great 13th century Zen master, somebody said to him, if Buddhas are enlightened, then why do they meditate? Right? It's quite a tricky, it's a good question. What are they doing meditating if they're already enlightened? Why do Buddhas meditate? And Master Dogen said, because that is the activity of Buddhas, which is another way of saying, because that's what Buddhas do. Buddhas meditate. Buddhas sit. It is implicit with enlightenment and realization to be able to come to a still point and to be satisfied, allowing, accepting, and satisfied with this as it is, however this is arranged. So no matter what the circumstances are on an internal or an external level, you can sit and allow. If we can sit and allow things to be exactly as they are, again, internally and externally, then you find that there is nothing to do at all. There is nothing to do. Now, me doesn't like nothing to do. Me has to do things like a hamster on a wheel, always doing things. I noticed that myself. I had a proper day off around the Thanksgiving holiday, and about halfway through the day, I was thinking to myself, what shall I do? Because I really got nothing to do right now. Should I do a little of this or a little of that? And I had to bring that practice forward. But it's like, no, there's no need to do anything at all. I'm used to doing. I'm practiced at doing. Right? But so much can be learned and realized from returning to simple, direct being. Now, when we learn the art of concentration, you can remember back perhaps beginning to learn how to sit or how meditate. And there's people are of course spread across a couple of screens, and I can't see everybody, and some people are just audio only. So perhaps there's people this evening that meditation is very new to you. Typically, as we learn meditation, we begin with an objective focus, a way to begin to learn concentration, because for most of us, we come to meditation, noise between the ears. There's a lot of mixed up identity and commentary and narration and everything else that's going on. And so we work with an objective focus, an objective concentration, in order to help still the mind, in order to help detach from ceaselessly thinking and commenting about things, and turn inward and come back to stillness. That's found in physicality of breathing. The Buddha was an aficionado of breath awareness practice, 40 years after his enlightenment, following breathing, following the breath. In touch. Thich Nhat Hanh, a great modern master who passed recently, right, would unerringly come back to these simple concentration practices of breath in, breath out, walking, raising the foot, placing the foot down. Very simple, direct practices in order to realize and foster a single pointed concentration. Right? So we bring things down, we distill things down in our practice of meditation to having a single pointed focus. That is most easily learned with a focus like breathing, because it's right there, you know. We're all breathing, right? So it's always there, it's always available. We can come into contact with breathing and find and develop a single-minded focus. Just concentrate on in and out. And you can do that practice for 5, 10, 100, 1,000 years and it won't be exhausted. It's not mastered. It's not something you graduate from, but rather it is always there as a point of refuge, this concentration practice of breathing, to let go of all of the complications, the challenges, the worries, and just come back to that simple, direct experience of being focused single-mindedly in the rising and falling of one's breath. And just work that practice. So as Buddhists or meditation practitioners, there's a lot of working the practice. Buddhism, as in the Zen school, is defined as a practice of strenuous effort, right? It's not kicking back and just enjoying 30 minutes, or you just kind of coasting around. No, but there's effort, is there not, in being still, being concentrated, being here now. Now, in this concentration, once it's found and developed in the body, it's stillness. You learn the art of being able to set aside thinking. Right? If there's one art to be realized and found in meditation, is to make that shift that can let go of attachment to always thinking about things. Now, I'm sure for all of us, we've discovered there's no off switch there, right? You don't find the thinking off switch, right? But it turns out it's not a matter of turning thinking off, but rather it's a matter of allowing thinking to occur, just like noise occurs. Like you have no control over the noise of the street, of a wind outside. Treat thought in the same way. Allow it to be, but sit and be unperturbed and don't identify with it. If you identify with that thought stream of me, then we lose concentration. We're just off to the races of the narration and the pondering and the this, that. So this is why we skillfully bring in an object of awareness with breathing, in order to learn not to keep coming back and identifying with thought, but to put our practice into something practical and tangible. Now, once we learn this one-pointed focus with the mind, that one-pointed focus doesn't need to be small. It doesn't need to be gathered in on the breath or into a mantra or into a koan or into the feeling of the body. That single-minded focus can be fully expanded into the full field of awareness. This is where I often talk about just sitting meditation, or shikantaza in the Zen school. Just sit. That is still single-minded focus, but it is a broad, a fully inclusive, single-minded focus. And yet the mind is not divided in that single-minded focus. In order to really experience and realize that, though, for most of us, we have to put the time in really becoming well grounded in practicing a single-minded focus through breath technique or other methods. We have to learn and master a method before we can let go even of the method. Meditation, again, is single-minded focus and concentration. But this concentration can be full immersion in this broad awareness. Again, if we experience this in most easily or most directly in sitting meditation, because there's nothing else to do. There's nothing else to take care of. Right? We've created the space, everything. You might have a candle lit, even have a little bit of incense going. The mood is set, the room, things are arranged just so. And then there's really, everything has been set up efficiently in order to let things really be as they are and not have to micromanage our life, not have to engage and grab the wheel and steer. We learn that, we realize that. For us to learn and realize that, most of us, again, we practice a method of concentration, and the different lineages, including those that are represented at ICD, have different ways, different approaches, different ways, but all with the same purpose: to bring the mind to a concentrated, present awareness, where you can regain the center, or regain mastery, right? To be at the center. So in Buddhism, sometimes it's depicted, we have this wheel, like the wheel of samsara, with everything, and everything will be drawn. You see these beautiful paintings of the wheel with all kinds of circumstances, and you're out on the edge of the wheel, and you're going through, turning through all the highs and lows and in-betweens and the churn of conditions and circumstances all day, every day, and it's like this, getting whipped around. But like any wheel, you come to the center of that wheel, like the center of even of a hurricane. There's a still point. Our practice is to realize for each one of us is to really know that still point. It is most easily found in the practice of sitting, but it is not absent at any point, even for a second, in the 24/7, no matter the activity. Now, this concentration, it's not like we're not wooden Buddhas, you and I. So we got things to do, right? You got to go out and get some groceries or something now and again. You got to make a living. You got to got a job. You got to clean the litter boxes. You got to call, make the phone call. There's 10,000 things to do. So as human beings, as particularly in this busy world, we realize the meditation that we foster and realize, the concentration that we explore and realize on the cushion, then has to be brought into everyday, it has to be brought into everyday activity. My teacher, Tenshin, he said he would ask my Zumi Roshi, he said, how do I take this practice into everyday life? And he said, the first time he said that, my Zumi Roshi said, just do it. Right, like the Nike slogan, right? So he said, just do it. And he said, after several years later, he said, I'm having, difficulty bringing this. Just how do I bring this into everyday life? And he said, just do it. And he said, maybe he brought this up one more time some years later again. And he said at that point when he brought it up, how do I bring this into everyday life? He said, my Zumiroshi just said, Tenshin, just do it. And just told him, like, it's like there's no way round that. We have to find a way to take the stillness, the concentration that we practice, that we work hard to realize on the cushion, bring that into everyday activity. In the Zen school, there's a Japanese term for this. It's ichitante. Japanese, it means oneness doing. Life is oneness doing. If it's like previously, before meditation, we looked at mindfulness. Again, that is the practice of oneness doing. We find the opportunities for that at home in our daily life. Perhaps we're putting away the dishes from a dishwasher, oneness doing. Or realizing, dash, I'm gonna have to vacuum. I don't want to vacuum, but I'm gonna vacuum. That's my little projection going there. And then there's the oneness doing of running the vacuum around and making a good job of that. But it's all meditation practice. And the surer that we can become with the basics, sit and practice, breath awareness, a single-minded focus, if you can get deep with that and have a good solid practiced foundation, helps to sit every day in order to generate this. You have that sure foundation, then from that foundation you can build an all-day, everyday practice that can find concentration and absorption ultimately in a busy street, in a cacophony of sound, in a churn of circumstances, amidst difficult challenges, with all kinds of things going on. Still, the one who is deeply practiced will have embodied this stillness and concentration, so that it is not lost when circumstances really become noisy. But that takes practice. To find it, our nuts and bolts daily practice is this, and what we do here on Sunday. Maintenance practice every day. Sit. I mean, I live at a Zen center, so I have to. That's like that I'm lucky in that way. Like I have to go. The bells tell me what to do. I have the Pavlovian response now. But if we give a certain amount of time to concentrate, the practice of concentration, to the practice of meditation, that it is there to be used, relied. It's a well that we can draw the water from in the midst of activity each day. When circumstances, when problems, when challenges, when it all pours in this busy wild life that we live in, we have this basic practice to rely on. And I mean basic as in fundamental, not and simple in a non-pejorative way, but in a really elevated way. A basic, simple, profound practice which as the basis will serve us in our lives. And as that's expressed in us, that's what's transmitted to others. That's just transmitted in our sphere of activity. Every night at the Zen Center, we'd have the Bodhisattva vows, the 4 vows. Sentient beings are numberless. I vow to save them. That's the first one. Sentient beings are numberless. I vow to save them. What a preposterous vow. Like how ridiculous, right? I vow to save them. I vow to save all beings. You know, and for years and years I practiced that, and then something shifted and I realized, oh, sentient beings are numberless. I vow to save them from me. That's what practice, yeah, the practice became a little clearer. It's like I need to practice. I practice in order to bring forward the best expression of myself. And then, right, to limit our own, like the more egregious aspects of our personality, to limit their impact on in our sphere of activity on other people. That's part of its practice is not done for this one alone. This practice is done for everyone. Everyone in our sphere. That's why we sit together. It's a collective effort. It's a collective awakening. And we're in good company. We've looked at these words of the Buddha, again, 2,500 years ago. Hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of people in all kinds of challenges, all kinds of circumstances, who've used these teachings, like several of them, like with right action, right livelihood, right speech, involved in like ethical conduct, like rare, good ethical conduct was in the ancient world, rare. And how rare is it now? Rare. Ethical conduct is rare for human beings. We have to decide that, we're going to do our very best to be the best that we can be, for the benefit of all, for the benefit of this one here, but that is also that one there. Because ultimately there's not me, you, and others. There's this one life that we all come and go in. Okay. I think I ought to pause at this point and leave some space for any question, for any comment, for anything that you'd like to share or ask. I hope that I haven't talked too long and tired everybody out too much. Thank you. Time flies, hard as no Zen teacher ever said, but I think it's valid. Time does fly. We're a little past, and I know. I think Rule, did you have some
Yes,
comment?
okay.
Yeah.
I loved the questions and the answers. It was really moving. I'm speaking tonight in an official capacity as a board member. Probably Adrian. They have been the board president for the last 2.5 years, and as well as being the tech person on our hybrid systems and the tech person behind our sits on Sunday. And the board has been needed to get new energy, and the guiding council, made up of Jokai and Mary Stankiewicz and Ian, have joined the board. Because over the last 30 months, we have tried to figure out how to serve the sangha, how best to serve the sangha. And as you know, we have the Sunday sit, we have a Tuesday evening sit and Dharma talk, Wednesday just sit, and Friday metta, all of which are remarkable, and I hope you take advantage of them. But we have found that the experience of the hybrid system, where we were meeting in person at the Unitarian Universalist Church of the Desert, and a teacher was present, has become very challenging for both the teachers. Jokai lives in Idlewild or near Idlewild, and Mary lives in Los Angeles. So coming has been a challenge. And then there's a technological challenge of how do you make it intimate and also expansive. And because, Adrian, they have been the primary source, we as the board agreed that the hybrid was not successful. It was a challenge and a drain in a sense, because attendance in person was modest, to use a euphemism. And we have felt that we could not fit the resources, human resources, energy and time, with that form of offering the Dharma. We will continue with every one of those operations online only. We don't anticipate that that will be forever. We are dealing with how do we serve the sangha in the best way and the most expansive and diverse way. And we will be doing that over the beginning of the year, which will include an online town hall for discussion. The board is dedicated. I want to read the mission statement or the vision statement of ICD, because the board recently, about 8 months ago, rewrote it to update it from 10 years ago. Insight Community of the Desert, ICD, cultivates mindfulness, peace, compassion, and interconnection through meditation and wisdom practices grounded in Buddhist teachings. Our statement of values, that's the statement of purpose. Statement of values is we are dedicated to creating a space that welcomes and respects all cultural, religious, and educational backgrounds, races, ethnicities, incomes, socioeconomic classes, sexual orientations, gender presentations, age, and diverse abilities. The board is committed to that, and what we're trying to find is the fit between the resources we have and the offerings that we can make. And it is important in the statement of values that we're dedicated to creating a space. Every one of the board commented that coming together as a sangha in person was critically important. But at this time, with this group and with the board, we have 3 board members. I've resumed interim presidency. Terence Kisak is the secretary. Jason Allen is on the board, and Ian, Jokai, and Mary make up the board. We need to find a way that we can honor the energies and times available that best serve the sangha and don't lead to a drain such that people retire, essentially. So I thank you, Jokai, for letting me make that announcement. The last in-person hybrid session will be the 18th of December, the 3rd Sunday. And I think, Jokai, you're on, are you not?
I think it's Mary, actually.
Oh, it's Mary. Okay. So please come. I will be out of town. I will not be there. But as I say, we will conduct and carry on the tradition of Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. That sounds like a line from the Goodfellas, doesn't it? Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. Yeah. So that's what I have to offer. As always, we are all volunteers. So if you are interested in volunteering, we have 3 volunteers who handle our communications: Mary Becku, Kelly Hennel, and Yvonne Buchanan. And we do need additional volunteers. If you write info@Desert Insight, we can make connections. So with that, thank you, Jokai, for the time. Sorry to take additional time. I love the questions. Thank you for that and your answers.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Yeah.